welcome to my channel. I'm Anne and today I'm bringing you my end of year TBR. I don't know how it's the end of the year. I really don't. I don't understand how quick this year has gone. Excuse the messy hair. I have the motivation to film, so I'm going to do it. I don't care how I look because I need to get this done. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk through the 10 books that I want to read before the end of 2024. So let's just get straight into it. So the first one that I want to talk about is The Assassin Thief by Madeleine Tay Wu, and this is a fantasy romance. This trilogy has just finished. In this one we're following Telem, who was a feared assassin. Now she lives her days in exile and she fights for dominance over her dark gifts. But all things change when an errant Fey warrior enters her domain, drawn by rumours of a powerful being said to be born from the shadow of the dark goddess Tenebris. With their kingdoms on the brink of chaos, he calls for her aid in his mission to defeat the mad Fey king and prevent an all-out war. I've connected with Madeleine on Instagram, and this is a signed copy that I did win with a giveaway that we did when we were raising funds for one of our Bookstagram friends who lost her house in a massive flood in New Zealand, and I won the signed copy. I do have an unsigned copy as well of both book 1 and book 2. And I'm very excited to get into this story. I've seen so many great things about this. I haven't heard anything negative about it. Madeleine is one of the most genuine and fun people to follow on Instagram, and I'm very, very excited to check this one out. So I'm definitely biting at the bit to get to this one. The next one that I want to talk about is The Red Hunt by Mary Watson. This has been on my 2024 TBR and I definitely need to get to this one. This has been on my TBR for a long, long time. I put it on my 2024 TBR and I'm still not doing great with my 2024 TBR. But this is a story about Ren. She is chased every winter. Ren is chased through the forest in a warped version of a childhood game. The boys who hunt her are judges, powerful and frightening pursuers who know nothing of her true identity. If they know she was an ogre, their sworn enemy, the game would turn deadly. But Ren is on the hunt too. Sent undercover as an intern to the Harkness Foundation enemy headquarters, her family's survival rests on finding a secret meant to stay hidden. As the enmity between two ancient magics reaches breaking point, Ren is torn between old loyalties and new lies, and trapped in the most dangerous game of her life. So this is a debut novel. This book is stunning. It was published in 2018, and I've heard a few people talk about this and have really, really enjoyed it. So I'm very, very intrigued to check this one out, and it's been on my TBR for ages, so it's bound to happen at some point. The next book that I want to talk about is Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. This is the novella in between Serpent and the Wings of Night and Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. This is following a different character from this series who we are going to visit and see in Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, so you have to read this novella in between. I recently read Serpents and the Wings of Night and it was 5 stars for me. I also own Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, but I'm going to read Six Scorched Roses on KU just to make sure that I don't buy a physical if I'm not going to enjoy it as much as the duology. But in this, this is a world where every 100 years or so there is the Kajari, which is a tournament to get a wish granted by the goddess Nyaxia, who is the person who created vampires. This is a Hunger Games X vampire kind of story, and I had a great time with it, and I'm very excited to continue with this series, so I'm definitely going to be picking up the novella at some point very soon. The next one that I want to read is Lore by Alexandra Bracken. I haven't read an Alexandra Bracken yet, but I've heard so many great things about her books. And this one definitely intrigues me because, as you can see, this is Medusa, so it's about Greek mythology. And in this one, we're set in a contemporary time. Yeah, so in modern day New York, a murderous game is about to begin. The Aegon. Every 7 years, for 1 week only, Zeus punishes the gods and makes them mortal. Forced to walk the earth, they are savagely hunted by the descendants of ancient bloodlines who are eager to kill a god and seize their divine power and immortality. After her family was brutally murdered by a rival line, Lore, Perseus fled, turning her back on the Aegon's cruel promises of eternal glory. For years, Lore has honoured her parents' memory, by doing one thing, surviving. For years she has pushed away dark thoughts of revenge until now. I'm very intrigued about this. I've heard mixed things about this one, but I'm very, very excited. It is on my 2024 TBR, so I need to read it, but I'm very, very intrigued. I love Greek mythology, but I've been slacking on my reading of it as of late, so I'm very intrigued to get to this one. The next one that I want to talk about is The Ever King by L.J. Andrews. This is a very popular fantasy romance, and all I know about this one is it is fae pirates, I think, and it is enemies to lovers. So the synopsis on Goodreads says, they stole his crown, so he stole their daughter. For years, Eric, the Scarred King of the Ever Kingdom, has thought of nothing but vengeance against the man who killed his father and trapped him beneath the waves, making him a prisoner in his own realm. Until his enemy daughter unintentionally breaks the chains on the Ever, and Eric makes her the unwitting pawn in his vicious game of revenge. She's innocent, he's vicious, but he will take back what he has lost, no matter the price, unless she steals his heart first. Welcome to the passionate world of the Ever Kingdom, where pirates, sirens, and fae collide with Vikings in a dark fantasy romance between a villain and the innocent princess who holds his heart. Ooh! I'm intrigued. I'm definitely going to be reading this one because it is part of a bigger vlog project that I'm working on. As we all know, the Brie vlog, so I'm very intrigued to get to this one. I'm very, very excited because I've heard nothing but great things about this one. The next one that I want to talk about is Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. This is the author of the Divergent series, which I refuse to finish because I know how it ends and I don't want it to end that way, so I refuse to read it, because if I don't read it, it didn't happen. But this is a duology and I own both books. This is one of the first books that I bought when I moved to New Zealand and started getting back into reading, and that was 5 years ago. So I need to read it. It's, I think, one of the oldest books on my TBR. But this is a fantasy. Might be romance. I think it might be romance. I'm not sure. But in a galaxy powered by the current, everyone has a gift. Syra is the sister of a brutal tyrant who rules the Shotet people. Syra's current gift gives her pain and power, something her brother exploits, using her to torture his enemies. But Kyra is much more than just a blade in her brother's hand. She is resilient, quick on her feet, and smarter than he knows. Akos is the son of a farmer and an oracle from the frozen nation planet of Tuve. Protected by his unusual current gift, Akos is generous in spirit, and his loyalty to his family is limitless. Once Akos and his brother are captured by enemy Shotet soldiers, Akos is desperate to get his brother out alive, no matter what the cost. Then Akos is thrust into Syra's world, and the enmity between their countries and families seem insurmountable. Will they help each other to survive, or will they destroy one another? I'm very intrigued. This has been on my shelf for so long, so I definitely need to read this, and I definitely want to get to it because it is on my 2024 TBR that I've been slacking at. The next one that I'm very, very excited about and I've wanted to read for so long since I connected with the author on Instagram. She is an NZ author, and this is Heliacal Rising by CC Davy. So this is a dark fantasy where there's sapphic relationships, I'm pretty sure. So raised to be a wife, taught to be obedient, expected to submit. Taken in as a ward of Lord Draken after her parents' slaughter, forced to navigate a new life, trying to become what is required of her in a world so vastly different than what she had known. Then Attica, kingdom of the witchlings, moves to rise again. Territories long alienated are forced to unite, secrets begin to unravel, secrets that make her question everything. She is Amelia Silvers, and she is about to show the world that even the most unexpected can burn the brightest. I haven't heard any bad things about this. Everyone in New Zealand is loving this, and this author has been picked up by a publisher, New Dawn Publishing over in Australia, and we're very excited for her. Also, the last book in the series is coming out. I do own all of the other books. I own book 2, the novella, and the novella as well as her other book, The Pendragon Witch. So I own all her books that she has published, so I need to read this very, very soon. But I'm very, very excited. And it is signed because I did get to meet Cece at Armageddon in June. and she's the most amazing person, so I'm very excited to read. Next book that I want to talk about is Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a book 2 in the From Blood and Ash series. I read From Blood and Ash in my Brie vlog and I really enjoyed it, so I definitely want to pick up Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. Hopefully I'm going to read this very soon. For some reason I'm scared to continue with the series, even though I want to see what happens with Poppy and Castile. But in book 1 we're following Poppy, and she is known as the Maiden. So in this world, if you are the Maiden, basically means you are the chosen one, and you are not allowed to be touched, be spoken to, be seen, receive any love or pleasure. And she gets a new bodyguard and a romance starts to blossom between them. Poppy is a very fierce, stubborn and feisty main character, and I really enjoyed her dynamics with Castile, her bodyguard. It is a forbidden romance and it is just a great time. And the ending of From Blood and Ash was insane, so I definitely need to pick this one up and see what happens so I can continue with the series, because the series is so long. There's so many books. And yeah, I just need to read it. The next one that I want to read is The North Wind by Alexandra Bracken. So I did get this as an ARC on NetGalley and I still haven't read it. I've heard really good things about this. What I know, it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, I think. And I got gifted this by one of my friends on Bookstagram when we did the NZ spring book swap, which was really fun. We got a budget and then we had to just send each other some books and gifts, and I got this one as part of my package. So this is a rich dark love story inspired by Beauty and the Beast and the myth of Hades and Persephone. Love it. Wren of Edgewood is no stranger to suffering. With her parents gone, it is Wren's responsibility to ensure she and her sisters survive the harsh and endless winter. But if the legends are to be believed, their home may not be safe for much longer. For 300 years, the land surrounding Edgewood has been encased in the ice as the Shade. A magical barrier that protects the townsfolk from the Deadlands beyond weakens. Only one can stop the Shade's fall. The blood of a mortal woman bound in wedlock to the North Wind. A dangerous immortal whose heart is said to be as frigid as the land he rules, and the time has come to choose his bride. When the North Wind sets his eyes on Wren's sister, Wren will do anything to save her, even if it means sacrificing herself in the process. But mortal or not, Wren won't go down without a fight. So we've got a sassy female main character who will do anything to save her sister, which kind of reminds me of Katniss Everdeen in a more fantastical Beauty and the Beast retelling, which I'm very excited about. So I've heard really good things about this and I'm very excited because the West Wind is coming out soon, and I also somehow got an ARC of that. But these are book standalones. Each book can be read as a standalone basically. So I'm very excited for that one. The next one that I want to read is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I've heard that this is Red Queen meets the Hunger Games. I've heard a lot of people say that they're pretty much copy and pasting from those books in here, but I'm very intrigued to read it. I've heard it's silly, fun, goofy time. This is a YA fantasy romance where we're following our main character, Payton. Is that her name? Payton. And she lives in a world where we have people who are called the elites and they have powers. And if you're ordinary, you need to be... And if you're ordinary in this world, which means you've got no magic, you are banned from this place. And we have Payton, who's been taught from a young age how to pretend she has a magic. So she pretends that she is a seer, or she can tell prophecies. And she comes across the prince who's getting attacked, and she comes and saves him and somehow ends up in this magical tournament where she has to use her powers to survive. But the thing is, she doesn't have any powers. So that's all I really know about it. I'm very curious. I've heard good things about it, but then I've also heard mixed things about it. So we shall see where I stand on this. I also own the novella that was gifted to me by the wonderful Sarah Elizabeth. So thank you to Sarah Elizabeth. But I'm very intrigued to see how this goes. The next one that I really need to read before the end of the year is Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. So this is book 2 in the Knock Mad series, and in this one we're following Nash, who is the brother of Knox in book 1, and Lena, who is a character that we meet in book 1. And I'm very intrigued to see how this goes. In this romance series there is an overarching plot, so I definitely recommend that you read Things We Never Got Over first, because you won't really understand going into this one what the whole thing is about. But I'm very intrigued about this one, and yeah, I really enjoyed Nash as a character in book 1, and I hope that we get to see more of Knox and Naomi, because Things We Never Got Over is one of my favourite romances of all time, and I want to see more of them. The next one that I want to pick up is The Silvered Serpents by Mashani Chokshi. This is book 2 in the Gilded Wolves series. So I read The Gilded Wolves with my friend Elizabeth as a buddy read, and we are going to be buddy reading this very, very soon. This is book 2 in this one. So in The Gilded Wolves, it is set in 19th century France, and we're following our main character Severin, who is this is basically an 1800s 1900s Paris story where there's a little bit of fantasy thrown in here, but we're following a big heist where our main character Severin is trying to take back his inheritance for after his family have passed, even though the people within this world don't want him to have it. So we're following him as he has a heist, creates a heist to get his inheritance back. It's really good. There are so many emotions. I really, really love book 1. I'm very intrigued to see where we go with book 2. So yeah, that wasn't a great description, but it's kind of hard to explain without reading the synopsis, and I don't have it with me right now. The next one that I want to check out is Light Lark. This gives me vampire vibes, but I've been told that it isn't, and I'm kind of sad about that. But this is by Alex Astor, and this is another tournament story. If you can't tell, I really like the tournament trope, but this is Welcome to the Centennial. Every 100 years, the island of Light Lark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break the curses and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide. Each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and save themselves and their realms, one ruler must die. To survive, Isla Crown must lie, cheat, betray, even as love complicates everything. So I've heard that this is a cheesy but fun time, and I'm very intrigued to check it out. Although I'm kind of sad it doesn't give vampires, but it is what it is. But yeah, I'm very, very intrigued. And this cover is really nice. This is part of a trilogy, and the 3rd book is coming out very, very soon, I think. Was that all 10 books? Huh. And the last book that I want to read before the end of 2024, which I'm definitely going to be reading, is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. So in this duology, we're following our main character whose brother has gone to war. And she has been writing him letters, and she doesn't receive anything back. But the thing is, she is fighting for a spot on the newspaper, and she has this enemy who is also doing the same thing. So they're both fighting for the same spot, and he comes across her letters and he decides that he's going to write back to her, and we're watching their romance. I think that's all we know. I've heard mixed things about this. There's people who love this book, and then there's people who don't like this book. So I'm very, very intrigued to see where I lie in this one. This is part of the Brie vlog, so I'm very, very intrigued to go for and see what I think about it, because this blew up last year. So I'm very, very intrigued to see where we stand with this one. So that is the 10 books that I'm definitely going to hope, fingers crossed, read before the end of 2024. So if you like this video, give it a like, comment down below what you're hoping to read before the end of 2024, and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Bye!